All right. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Attired, content creator over on Twitch, and I mainly stream Star Citizen. And today we are going to be talking about the latest post by Xylo over at CIG on Spectrum about first look at item recovery in 4.1. There's been a lot of talk about this over the last 48 hours, so I'm sure everybody has their opinions. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Anything about this today? If anybody knows if there's more to it, let me know and we'll definitely go take a look. But for now, I believe this is all we have. And I'm sure there's an ISC to follow on it soon. So, what does it say? Alpha 4.1 first look at item recovery. Hello everyone. As we prepare for the Evocati test phase for our upcoming Alpha 4.1 patch, we'd like to introduce the iterative release plan for item recovery, a long-awaited system that gives players more control over reclaiming their valuable gear after death. Yes, we have wanted this for a while. At CitizenCon 2954, we shared our long-term design for crafting, insurance, and item ship recovery. If you need a refresher, both presentations are available and blah, blah, blah. We saw all that. We've covered it. I think I remember what they talk about. But all right. Today, we want to provide a more detailed breakdown of some of the iterative releases that will start to bring these plans to life. The initial Tier 0, TO, rollout will be fairly basic compared to the full system, but it marks a crucial first step. As we shared at CitizenCon, the complete item recovery system will be far more robust and nuanced, making gear management a core gameplay element. You'll be able to secure the items that matter most while still allowing room for piracy and emergent gameplay. This last sentence, I think, is going to be debatable. All right, let's talk about Tier 0. First steps, Tier 0 implementation. 1 second. Do you remember what they said about the Galaxy? Do you remember what they said about Master Mode? I feel like a lab rat. To stop sending stuff like this. Yeah, that's a good point. They could be doing it just to see what people's reactions are, if it's the right direction or not. That's not a bad marketing tool. However, it can blow up in your face depending on what you're asking people. But yeah, no, the Galaxy modularity. Oh no, we never said that. No, you did. You clearly even showed us a picture attached to a PowerPoint. The master modes, yeah. Actually, I did hear something today about them starting to work on master modes again. So hopefully they'll be balancing things out and we'll have a nicer experience. The sandworm was another one. The sandworm, though, I'm not too bothered by the sandworm because I know there's a lot of stuff that have to come out before that can truly be a thing. I don't know if they're waiting for engineering on that, actually. I think it's obvious that they're waiting for engineering to do the solar flare and pyro. Yeah, it's a good point, Attack Cat. And if you're going into contested zones to get special weapons anyways, then you're fine. I'm old enough to remember when gear recovery was coming in 4.0 along with the transit refactor. I think we're all old enough. They said it last year. Okay, let's keep talking about Tier 0 before we get ahead of ourselves. Let's see what they have to say. With the initial rollout of item recovery in Alpha 4.1, internally referred to as Tier 0, you will respawn with the exact gear you had equipped at the time of death. Emphasis on the term equipped, as this is different than what you may have had in your inventory. This includes equipped weapons, armor, magazines, and med pens, ensuring that your core loadout is retained. However, items stored in your inventory, such as your backpack or other containers, will remain on your corpse, making them available for looting or retrieval. So basically, you're going to come up to somebody's body. You won't be able to touch their armor or the gun they have equipped. The med pens makes 0 sense to me. That should be lootable. I don't understand why you wouldn't make those lootable. That seems odd, to stay polite. And that is an incredibly cheap thing you can buy. And it's something that everyone tries to loot people for is meds, because you're going to need them. If you're getting into major PvP fights, you need meds. So, okay, that's a good point. So it seems like, let's say you have grenades, med pens. If you have them equipped on your chest or your belt, they'll probably stay. So if you have a fuse or a key card, just make sure to put those on your belt and on your chest, which seems a little ridiculous. I think those things should remain lootable, personally. I think magazines should be lootable. I think med pens should be lootable. I'm relatively okay with armor staying, Consumables are lootable. It's just they'll dupe the med pens for you to get them back. And the magazines? I think we need some clarification. While equipped items will also remain on your corpse too, they will not be interactable, preventing item duplication while still preserving the visual state of your character at the time of death. This approach helps mitigate item duplication issues in the initial implementation while laying the groundwork for future expansion of the system in T1 and T2, which you can read more about below. Well, duped ammo meds isn't a very big deal, right? I think the biggest concern has been subscriber armor, subscriber weapons, very rare looted armors and weapons that people really never use unless you loot them or find them. And I mean, yesterday I was laughing my ass off. I was following this guy. He was in full Morozov Red Alert with the Red Alert Custodian and the Red Alert AO3. I mean, and he was in Pyro. I was like, you are brave. I just don't want free sub armor floating around that wasn't found in a box. Yeah, and I get that. I do get that. And I understand there's some people that are upset because they're not going to be able to loot subscriber armor. I would say to everyone, stop buying subscriber armor. I mean, there will be an actual use to it now with this system, even though it's not great. But anyways, let's start to get to the bullet notes. And their white, purple armor, etc. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see people in that stuff, but you know, the problem so far has been nobody will wear it because you're just going to lose it. Or you have to get your money refunded once you lose the gear and then buy it again with store credit. It's ridiculous. So, all right, important notes. Items stored in your inventory, example, items in your backpack, will not be protected and will remain on your corpse upon death, available to be looted, stolen by other players, or retrieved by you. That's fine. So anything you loot at a bunker, anything extra you bought in your backpack, that can be looted. That, I think, is kind of the basics. You know, like it's just the minimum. So it's my money isn't floating around in store credit. I get that. I got all my money back for armor when I realized that I was never going to be able to use it. Items such as magazines and med pens that you have equipped can still be looted from your corpse. Awesome. However, you will also respawn with these items as duplication concerns for these types of consumables are less concerning at this stage. Okay, cool. That's fine. And I'm glad they clarified it because that would have been weird. Tier 0 item recovery applies to all forms of respawning, whether in a med bed or on a ship or at your assigned landing zone. See, I wouldn't have minded if you didn't spawn on anything in a ship. I think that would have been okay. I'm getting some weird interference in my headset. Oh god. Here we go, audio issues. But anyways, before I go and sign this, I'm going to ensure that your weapon in active use is secured as an equipped item. It will automatically be stowed to your holster upon death. That's fine. If you die within a landing zone, you will respawn with both your equipped gear and your inventory. Example, belongings in your backpack. This is the... Oh, wait, hold up. If you die within a landing zone... Oh, this is already true. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this was actually happening a lot. And I didn't say anything. But if you backspace at a station to go respawn somewhere else, your stuff that you were wearing doesn't stay on the station where you backspaced. It follows you to the new station where you spawn. It's been awesome. Okay. It's been great. Been really liking that. So you can equip key cards on your belt. Like the same place you can put med pens, you can put key cards there. Gotcha. Which is kind of like most games. Like, and then there's even more hardcore games like Armor of Forger and DayZ. If you get knocked out or, you know, knocked down and you were holding a weapon, you drop the weapon and you got to find it. It's on the floor somewhere. So there are more punishing games for sure. You can still do it just to go to your belt. If you die, yeah, we did that. With tier 0, you will respawn with your previously equipped gear already attached to your character. Okay, so scenario example. While exploring, you loot a rifle and store it in your backpack. If you die, that rifle will remain on your corpse. available for others to loot or for you to revisit your corpse and retrieve. However, the original rifle you had equipped to your character in hand or holstered at the time of death will be secured and respawn with you. Okay, so here's what I'm curious about now. Let's say I die, right? I had a P4 equipped and it had scorched components on it, right? I'm going to spawn back with that rifle and the scorched components on it. Now, if I go back to my corpse, can I loot my own body to duplicate the things that I already owned? Or when you go to your body, is that stuff gone? See, it's not clear. I don't think it's clear. 2 no's and a yes. So what I'm saying is, will you be able to go grab your armor again and that weapon? I'm not the consumables. We don't care about those at this point. But I spawn in with a new Artemex and my P4 with scorched stuff on it. I go back to my body to get the lootables in it. Can I reloot my armor and my weapon? We hope. There's always the possibility for a feature to appear that they had not foreseen. No, not armor or weapon. If people want trophies, they have to take the whole body. And then leave it in their hangar. I do get that. They say notice weapons and armor for other people to interact with. I'm very curious to see how that gets implemented in game, or whether you can dupe your own stuff. I hope not. That's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is I hope they do this well, because there may be scenarios where things will break. So essentially it'll just be like a skin now on your dead character, and you will not be able to interact with that. Let's hope that that goes, because otherwise I can see a lot of duping happening. Looking ahead to Tier 1 and Tier 2. While Tier 0 lays the groundwork and provides some assurance that your equipped items are not lost, we are already actively developing T1 and T2 implementations. These future updates will add more depth to the system, including a viable path for piracy. All right, let's see what T1 is. Tier 1 loadout and ship registration. T1 will introduce the ability to register your gear and ships at kiosk or ASOP terminals. So it's like essentially save a blueprint of what you want. Needing a full suit of armor to dominate. See, I take it a step further. I just walk around in my boxers. I need nothing. And you can. You can make it so that you're... I think eventually what I would like to see is you save 3 loadouts, right? And when you spawn, you pick one. And I want this one. I want my heavy loadout. I want my medium loadout. I want my sperm suit. And then we'll see. Important notes. Personal loadout. Players can register their equipped items, which can be reclaimed for a fee at specific kiosks or freight elevators. That makes a lot of sense. I don't mind it contributing to the economy, that if we want something back enough, we have to pay for it. I'm fine with that. Ships and interiors. Ships, along with their loadouts, decorations, and locker contents, can also be registered. They can be reclaimed in the state they were previously registered at ASOP terminals for a price. That'll be nice if you can make it so that every time you spawn a ship, it spawns with like 4 cruise luxes and 2 multi-tools with tractor beam attachments and 1 max lift and an S38. You know, Dark and I last night, as we were doing some survive and die stuff, we were talking about this, and anything that is in the interest of saving the player time is very, very welcome. Looting and bricked items. What does that mean? Once an item is looted, it remains usable until the original owner reclaims it or marks it as stolen. At that point, a dead man switch is activating, meaning we'll see too much. That's stupid. I don't like that at all. I'm sorry, that was maybe a little harsh, but that's a terrible idea. You want to make sure people just stop looting player items altogether? Just do that right now in Tier 0. That's a bad idea. I'm sorry, that's a terrible idea. Now, okay, I take some of it back because I think this is related mainly to ships. Now, if it's just for a ship, that's one thing. And I got to take a step back because I may have jumped the gun on my reaction there. But so if somebody takes your ship and you claim it, or you realize it's stolen and you want to get it back, You should be able to hit a dead switch and go after them. That could be an interesting game loop. However, that can't be for weapons. That can't be for anything else. Like that would be terrible. I said, well, fuck them then. So, but the thing is, if it's for ships, that's one thing. If it applies to anything else, that's no good. I mean, this am I missing something here? Because if it's just for ships, I can understand the logic there. I can understand where they're trying to go and the gameplay they're trying to create. But I still don't think it's a great idea. One of the only reasons why people right now use other people's ships is because they're stuck somewhere or they're trying to be a dick. I really only use other people's ships that I find when I'm stuck. I got no other choice. It's like, all right, well, I guess I'll fly this half-broken Cuddy. Well, I don't know if they'll be able to spawn things for free. In Tier 0, maybe. In Tier 1, it seems like you're going to have to pay a fee for certain things. And that's kind of what I think a lot of people are expecting. But then that does bring up a problem of duping ships. There will be a base ship for the reclaimed stolen item is salvaged, so it sounds like no Dragonfly Star Kit edition for me. So yeah, you'll get the base chassis, and then you have to build up the rest, which is kind of funky. Easy to fly a ship full of goods from someone else and to move it all at once quickly. True. It's that grenade launcher and it gets looted. It needs to be... See, it can't happen with weapons or armors. Like, imagine you get stuck like Iron Man's suit turning off, you know? That's how he dies, by the way. Spoilers. Or one of the way he dies. Yo, Zerki, comment ça va? You're just going to be stuck in a suit. That would be weird. You're in the middle of a firefight, you picked up somebody's weapon, things are dire, and all of a sudden, click, 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 error, does not compute, gun will not shoot. No, that'd be terrible. Has a rare ship component and you loot it, then it breaks. You can still use that component if you pay for it. That seems weird. No, that's in the comics. They don't... That's not how he dies in the movies. That's how he dies in the comics. Okay, let's go back to the points because I'm getting distracted again. But this needs clarification. Needs a whole lot of clarification. Now, I think to give him the benefit of the doubt, no, loadout and ship registration. No. It's not, we're not just talking about ships. So, bad idea. Very bad idea. Sorry. While a looted and or stolen bricked item is no longer usable, you can still sell the item for credits. I mean, why even mention that? That seems to be the minimum, right? Because otherwise, with persistence, you would pick up that weapon, it'd be bricked, you'd drop it, it would persist there, the other person would claim it, duplicate it, get theirs back, and then there'd be an unusable item just sitting in the verse. What? Tier 0, I mean, that's a good point. All of this is going to be really weird until we get to Tier 2 in 6 years. So it's just going to be interesting. It is a paperweight at that point. It is just an entity for you to spawn and render. You know what? I think the game is so buggy that they found a solution to revolve around. Yeah, but see, like I was saying, Tatcat, that seems like the minimum. Like, if you weren't able to sell it, it would just be an item that persisted. So that's just kind of like, we're screwing you over, but there's a way you can get rid of it. Pledge items are auto-registered and will never lose their registration status. They can always be claimed back even if they were not manually registered. Pledge items are auto-registered and will never lose their registration. They can also be claimed back. That's normal, basic. Anything you pay real money with, you should not have to go through extra steps to get it back. Yes, it's the basics. With Tier 1, you will no longer respawn with your preserved gear already equipped. You will need to visit a location such as your freight elevator to reclaim your registered items. We are developing a quality of life feature to allow you to re-equip your previous full loadout with one auto-equip button at this location. I like that. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like having the options or like having pre-saved loadouts that you can be like, I want to take this one. Ooh, that was a bad firefight. Light armor was not the way to go. I need a heavy. You know, something like that. That's great. That's fine. I'm okay with that. That makes sense. I mean, you guys realize to a certain extent we're talking about something that is like one of the most basic functions in an RPG or an MMO. Like, but this is basics. We're talking about the basics of a functioning RPG. Like, I think the loot system, the way it is now, is good. And what we really need is a way to have insurance like Tarkov. And Tarkov does have unlootable stuff, which makes a ton of sense. Actually, it doesn't make that much sense in Tarkov when everything's so lootable. But they make it so that you're not completely disappointed by losing everything all the time. Like, I don't think it should be as punishing as Tarkov, but I don't think you can go the Tarkov route. And this is something that I think is very sensitive for a lot of people, because one of the things that I've wanted for a while in this game is to be able to loot more stuff. And we're finally starting to get that with loose items being findable and lootable in bunkers and other stuff and other places. And that's the Tarkov aspect that I want. I want to be able to run around and grab a bunch of stuff, right? But it's not an extraction shooter. There's a lot of persistence in this, so you can't lose everything every time you go out. That doesn't make any sense. At least to me personally. Like, no, that was stuff you would lose. You know what I mean? But I see, I think it was Attack Cat who made the point earlier. It's like stuff are cheap enough. Things are cheap enough that you can buy it pretty easily. You know what I mean? And there are no weapons that are so rare in the game now that you're going to get super frustrated if you never get it back. I mean, the scorched weapons are nice, but they're not, night and day with their basic counterparts, with the normal weapons. It's non-scorched. Yeah, but the insurance in Tarkov only works if another player doesn't pick it up. So if you're playing PvE, yes, you get your insurance back all the time. If you're playing PvP and a player takes every single thing on you, you're not getting it back, even if you insured it. Railgun is like the only rare gun. Yeah, because they're so hard to find. Grenade launchers too, they're so hard to find. And yes, you still have to pay for insurance on each time. So sometimes you make the decision, do I take crappy gear that I don't insure, hoping to get better in the raid? Which, if you're trying to apply that logic into Star Citizen, well, that's gone in Tier 0. You're not picking up better unless it's off an NPC, which in this case, yes, you could. But yeah, I mean, I just want to say, how is it that 12 years into the development of a game, we're talking about something so basic as, your items? And yeah, World of Warcraft has looting. Now, you can't loot everything off of a player's body, but, you can loot anything off of NPCs and stuff like that. Now, maybe there are new servers, or maybe it's possible on the hardcore, but you're not looting other players. You're just looting NPCs. But imagine a game where you loot nothing like that. That would just be so weird. And, I mean, railguns are very, very useful in Star Citizen, because you can take anything out with that. A ship, a vehicle, person. All right. Let's keep going. Additionally, with the implementation of T1, our current plan is to remove the ability to backspace out of a dangerous scenario as a raider attain gear. Okay, I have a problem with this. And it's not in the idea and the implementation in a working game. I'm purely looking at it as someone who plays their mess. What I don't want us to, and again, hopefully in the future we're no longer dealing with the problems we are now, so this isn't an issue, but I just want to bring this up just in case, is how many times have we backspaced? I was just telling somebody in chat yesterday in Global, they're like, I can't access doors, I can't repair, I can't get a med bed at a med station, the kiosks are broken, how do I heal myself? And I was like, well, buddy, set your regen and backspace. If we run into issues and we have to backspace, do we lose all our stuff because it thinks we're trying to be dicks and, take the easy way out of combat? I don't know. A lot of my issues with this stuff is I'm looking at it as someone who plays the game. If you don't play the game and you read all this, you probably don't have the same amount of problems with it. Let's be honest. But as people who play the game, you look at this and you're like, well, that can't possibly be true because this is bugged, this is bugged, this is bugged, this is bugged. So that's not going to work. And this sounds punishing because we know how it is to deal with this system. That's true. I'm also assuming you can read. I'm sorry, Tula. All right. T2, restoring bricked items and crafting integration. All right, let's go talk more about what I thought was a terrible idea. T2 will introduce a way to restore previously bricked items for a price. Important notes. Okay, so if somebody bricks their item for you and you still have it, you can pay to have it restored. I don't... Okay. Looting a bricked item once... Okay, looting a bricked item. So once an item is looted, you will have the option to sell it, dismantle it for crafting materials, or restore it, with the potential cost of crafting materials and credits to make it your own. This system creates a viable path for piracy, allowing you to claim another player's belongings if you take the necessary steps to legitimize ownership. If an item had cosmetic applied, restoring it will remove the cosmetic in the process. The introduction of item recovery is a significant step toward making gear persistence more meaningful while maintaining the risk-reward balance of looting. Tier 0 and Alpha 4.1 is just the beginning, and as we further integrate into the broader crafting and insurance systems, we'll be actively refining and updating with the help of your feedback throughout the PT process and beyond. I think T2 is useless. See, I don't mind it losing the paint, unless the entire point you took that ship was for that paint, which... Okay, let's be honest. There's a very simple reason they don't want to do that. Why do you all think they would make it so that you can't potentially keep a paint that somebody spent 20 bucks on? Hint, hint. It's all money driven. Same reason why I feel like I have to call this out. The only reason why they focus... So let's be honest. The only reason why they made this a priority is because they realized they weren't selling enough armors. And they probably weren't selling enough stuff that... Like, let's be honest. They have tons of really cool gear in this game. I really love the gear design. Like, Morozov armor has become one of my all-time faves. The ADP armor has become one of my all-time faves. I hate the ADP helmet. Never use that. But, like, I really love the armor design. Like, for me, it's probably the best since Halo. That's a good question. What if you steal a Pirate Edition Caterpillar? What if you steal a Pirate Edition Gladius? But let's be honest. The entire reason why this system is now a priority is because they are not making as much money as they want to be. They know that their development process is way too expensive. They need more money coming in to make sure they can finish everything. And not lose talent all the time and have to what's the word? There's a term. I can't think of the term right now, but they don't want to have to, constantly be replacing people and having to train them again on how they do things. And yeah, this is purely because they want to make more money. Now, is it something that we need in the game? Yes, absolutely. If you guys are going to try and sell us all this stuff, or you're going to make armor that's really badass, then yes, we should have the ability to keep on holding on to it. The ADP has that weird, really big, chunky helmet with all glass at the front. Yeah, I think the MKV, the MKX armor has a cool open-faced helmet. That one's not bad, but I do not like the other one. Just looks so chunky. So, let's be honest. The reason why you won't let us keep the paints is because you want us to buy them. And the reason why this system has become a priority is because you guys aren't making enough money off of armor sales. That's my honest opinion. I feel like that's what makes the most sense for them from a business standpoint, and that's why this feature has now become a priority. Same reason why I feel like they're pushing for stability to be an option, more of a thing in this game, an option. It shouldn't even be an option. It should be necessary, but for them it was optional. Is because, well, they are seeing a lot of flack. They're getting a lot of negative feedback and people are just getting frustrated. So let's not kid ourselves. This is not to give us a better experience. This is so that they can keep stable financing coming in. Their image is big. Their rep is big. I mean, look there are so many major AAA studios right now that are just going under. Now, whether they'll completely disappear or not, we'll see. But Ubisoft's in a really bad way. Warner Bros. Games is in a really bad way. EA can't seem to stop losing money. And they make too many decisions based off of what's profitable or not. Right now, people just need to refocus on what makes things sell. What sells is good products. What makes a good product is, whether it can stand up to time, whether it's enjoyable, whether it's, respects your time, whether, it's trying to preach to you. I want escapism. I don't want activism in my games. I want to be immersed in a universe that is completely different to what I am living. I don't want to live every day in a game. Okay. I will say this, to kind of sum up. Tier 0 doesn't seem like that big a deal. I can understand players who are upset they're not going to be able to loot other people's bodies, but if that's the only reason why you're playing this game is to kill other players and loot their bodies, I mean, I feel like you should be playing Tarkov. It'd probably be better for you. That being said, I think as a PvP player, when you do, get into a fight in PvP and you do win, it's the reward is to take their stuff. So, but yeah, I don't think there's too much of a problem with Tier 0. I think Tier 1 will be really good, and I think Tier 2 is this whole bricked thing I'm not a fan of. All right, everybody. That got a little complicated at the end there because I was having a hard time keeping my thoughts in line. But all that to say, it's nice to see that people who have spent money on gear will be able to keep it. I think it's obvious that this is driven for CIG by the need for better financing. So what I mean by that is they need to make sure players are interested in buying gear and that they can reuse it and that they won't get upset and ask for their money back the second they lose it in game after having spent 15 to 20 bucks on an armor set, which is pretty pricey. Let's also not forget that one of the reasons why they're pushing for stability is because they want to retain their player base. Pretty important. And right now, we've seen it. I think we've all seen it on our friends list. The player count has come back up with Supply or Die, but before it was empty. And I have 160 plus people on my friends list. It should never be empty. So, all right. Thank you all for joining me for this react on Tier 0, Tier 1, and Tier 2 for item recovery. I really appreciate you all being here.